Most people think surviving without power for 7 days would just be inconvenient. No TV, no internet, no social media, maybe a few candles and flashlights. But the truth is, most families are not prepared for what really happens if the grid goes down for an entire week. Because losing power, it doesn't just shut off your lights, it affects your food, your water, your medication, and your safety, and in some cases, your survival. Peace, this is the Modest Prepper, where we make your halal pantry easy. Now, imagine waking up tomorrow and the power is gone. Hours pass, and then a full day, then two. No updates, no timelines. Stores are packed, gas stations stop working, people start panicking. But the real question is, could you survive 7 full days without electricity? So today we're breaking down the reality of a week-long blackout and what you need to do now before it happens so that you can be ready. Now, the biggest conception is people automatically think, I can survive without power for 7 days. That's easy. And people think, and I'm thinking about myself, I've survived 6 days without power in the house, but not when everything was down. When our block went down, this was in 2000, I think it was either 10 or 11 in the summertime. Heat was crazy. But we still had the malls, jobs still had their power, so we managed. So we can't really say that we survive without power easily, right? Because most people think about entertainment, not survival systems. And power affects almost everything in our modern life. We have not had to live like people who've had to live in the 19s and the 20s. The way they use their systems is totally different than how we use it today. Without electricity, refrigerators start working, food begins to spoil, water systems can fail, cell phone towers weaken, ATM machines may start working, and gas pumps may shut down. And once systems start failing, the stress, it will rise fast. And people don't realize how dependent they are on electricity until it disappears. Now let's get into some specifics. Medication and medical risks. This is something that people never really think about it until it's too late. And some medications, it requires refrigeration. Insulin is one major example. If the power is out too long, medication can become unsafe or ineffective. Now, let's go a little deeper. Imagine pharmacies are closed, roads are blocked, or prescription systems are offline completely, and you may not be able to refill what you need. And then there are people who rely on medical equipment, such as oxygen machines, CPAP machines, electric wheelchairs, home dialysis equipment. See, a blackout is not just uncomfortable for them. It can become life-threatening. And that's why backup power plans are just critical, because we don't want to see our families suffer because we wasn't prepared, we wasn't thinking about it. Think about if you have your elderly grandmother or your mother or your parents or someone you're close to that may be in the nursing homes or in the hospital, or not even someone elderly, someone that just happened to be in the hospital at the wrong time. And then now, if the electricity is down, there's no backup power, or the backup power is a limited period of time, things can become critical. So next thing, the food and water. Most refrigerated food becomes unsafe much faster than people realize. A refrigerator can only stay cold for about 4 hours unopened up to. In a freezer, it can last about a couple of days if it stays closed. After that, then you have the food that begins to spoil. And during emergencies, grocery stores can be empty within hours. But water may even become a bigger problem. Many people assume water will always flow, and not necessarily. Some water systems rely on electricity to pump and treat water. And without power, the water pressure can drop, the filtration systems can fail, and access to clean water becomes uncertain. And that's why every home should have emergency water storage, because dehydration, it becomes dangerous so quickly. So think about that, and I have some previous videos that you can look at about emergency water storage and things you can do. So check that video out. Now, the next thing, the mental side of blackouts. Now, the longer the outage lasts, the more people panic. By day one, people are annoyed. They're like, ugh. Some people may even be happy if you're at work, because if the electricity goes down, if your company doesn't have a backup system, or they may have, it only lasts for a certain period of time, and you may still be limited on things you can do. So some people may say, oh man, it's a free day, no electricity, I can go home. So the annoyance is very little. By day 3, people start to get a little nervous. That's when you start seeing people come out of their houses like, hey, did you call BG&E? That's the electric company here in Maryland. Oh, yeah, I called them and I haven't heard. And they said it was going to be out. People get a little nervous because all that money we have spent on food, and we know food is high as I don't know what these days. You start to get a little nervous. You think about having to throw things out. It's hot or maybe cold. Children is getting antsy. So things start getting a little different. Now, by day 5, fear and desperation begin settling in. And that's when you start to see human behavior changes. People start driving around searching for supplies like ice, coolers, generators. You may see arguments increase because of those lack thereof of those items. Stress levels start to get a little higher. Some people may become irrational, and that's why mental preparedness matters just as much or even more than physical supplies, because staying calm, it can save your life. So what do we need to do? Let's get to solutions. So what do we actually have now? Let's start with the basics. Water, of course, you need to store at least 1 gallon per person per day. That's the minimum. More if possible. Food. Focus on foods that don't require a lot of refrigeration, that are easy to prepare and have long shelf lives. Example, canned goods, rice, peanut butter, protein bars, dry foods, things like that you know your family uses. Light sources. You will need flashlights, lanterns, extra batteries, solar chargers, solar generators. And the reason why some people have regular gas generators, but the reason why I don't advocate that as much is because they're loud and they attract attention. And that's what you do not want to do. Don't rely only on your phone flashlight. I know we have these phones and we begin to rely on them a lot. But if you can't charge your phone, then that flashlight is not going to work. And also backup power, if possible. Have some small portable power stations, some battery banks. Don't forget your battery in your car. That's a battery you can use as well if you need to, if worst case scenario. Even small amounts of backup power, it can make a huge difference. Having emergency supplies. Have extra prescriptions on hand. There are some companies that do allow you to purchase emergency medication, so look those up. First aid kits, backup medical batteries, copies of any important medical records you have, because in that time it's important to know what kind of medical conditions they may have. Are they allergic to anything? Is there anything that's essential to their survival? Is it medication that they need? So copies of your medical records, what your blood type is. So those things can be necessary as well. So we don't want to wait until the emergency starts. Home preparation. Now, a blackout becomes much harder if your home isn't ready. So just check your windows for drafts, check your roof condition, check how much insulation you have in your home, and get more if you need. Emergency heating options and water storage systems. And also think about security. Dark neighborhoods, it can become unpredictable. And one more thing I want to reiterate, like I did in the last video. Don't keep telling everyone what supplies you have, even in general conversation, because in hard times, information becomes valuable. Privacy, that's a part of your preparedness too. And most people think, oh, it can never happen until it does. And the people who do best during emergencies usually are not the richest. They're the most prepared. You may not need a bunker. You don't have to panic, but you do need a plan. Because when the lights go out, you'll quickly discover how dependent Modern life really is on electricity. And by then, preparation time is over. So if this video helped you, please subscribe, subscribe, and share as always. It would really help me out. And comment below, what's the first thing you would miss if the power went out for 7 days? And as always, this is the Modest Prepper reminding you to take care, stay grateful, and prep with intention.